Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking a look at the figure that actually got me back into the Black Series line. This is the one I've been waiting for, like ever since I seen it. Yeah, this is Black Series, the Mandalorian, as seen on, for some reason they state specifically, the Glavis Ringworld. And yeah, this Mandalorian, being deadly serious, is probably the best version of Djarin that you can get from any company, and that includes figure arts, Mayfex, you name it. If you're wanting a 1/12 scale Mando, this is the one to go for, and I say that as someone who adores figure arts to death. Like, honestly, I can't give Hasbro enough credit for the sculpt and detail of this guy. I honestly can't. They knocked it out of the park with everything. So yeah, let's take a quick look at the box, shall we? So, like I said in the Clone Trooper review, they went plastic free for a while. Now we're back to standard plastic. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is. It's just a piece of plastic. Like, why were they so intent on giving us like plastic free? I don't know. But you've got a nice picture of him on the side, holding the Darksaber, struggling with it, obviously. And the one thing I do find like quite hilarious is that despite this being the best version of Mando that you can get, it isn't even from his own series. Yeah, Hasbro for some reason decided the best Mando they were ever going to make would be out of the Book of Boba Fett. So yeah, it's even more funny when you think there is a version of Mando from season 3 that Hasbro are currently making. I think it's called the Mines of Mandalore version. And they went back to the plastic cape. That horrible plastic cape that everyone threw away. They had the perfect Mando right here, and they chose to cheap out on the very next version of him. So yeah, just a quick little blurb there. If you want to read it, that's there. Not 3 sad onions. And yeah, decent enough box. Let's get out of the way and have a look at Mando himself. Get that bit of dust out here. So yeah, just at first glance, like, the proportions on this guy, for one, are probably the best I have ever seen from any Mandalorian so far. Like, you even quickly compare it to figure arts. Like, the figure arts one, the body's quite bulky and the helmet is tiny, whereas the Black Series one looks like a guy in a suit. It really does. But yeah, in terms of accessories, let's get that out of the way real quick. So he does come with a fair amount. He comes with his blaster, which is updated from the original release. It's got some lines on the pistol for the sort of detailing. There we go. And it's a nice gunmetal colour. He also comes with the Darksaber, which is quite plain, but then the Darksaber itself was quite a plain hilt. And it can pop out. It's got a flatter design to normal lightsabers from the Black Series. But yeah, it's not a translucent plastic, so that shouldn't be at much risk of breaking. He also comes with the vibro blade, which is a tiny little thing. And even that, they've got some paintwork on it. Not a lot, but it is there. The detailing doesn't really match up with the figure arts version, but this one's good enough. Especially when most people won't be displaying it, sort of thing. So yeah, and finally, he comes with his jetpack, done up in the same nice paint as his armour. I can remember when they first released a Mando with a jetpack, and it was literally just grey plastic. Like, it was clearly an afterthought, because they didn't realise he would get a jetpack later on in Season 1. But yeah, this is a much better sculpt, much better details. Even has holes in the bottom. Again, like, this one can't complain too much about, because he did come with a fair amount of accessories. But I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid if you would have made Mando a deluxe and gave him like the thrusters, the flame effect that came with the deluxe Boba Fett. Because yeah, they keep sculpting these jetpacks with holes for the effects, but they've never released it outside of that Boba Fett. So yeah, in terms of all these accessories, they do all fit on him really well. The holster they have fixed from the original. The original had a sort of strap to hold the gun in place, but it just looked horrible. This one looks really nice, really flat against his leg. And yeah, the vibro blade. This is the first time I've seen a figure do this, but there's a hole at the top of his lower leg armour, and that just slots in there exactly where it should. I think, yeah, they're the first company, I believe, to actually do that. And even on the back of his belt, don't know if you can see that there, there's a hook which the Darksaber can just hang off of. It's a really, really nice touch. Because yeah, he did hide it. He knew how sought after the Darksaber is, so yeah, of course he would hide it behind him. And the jetpack, you've got 3 holes here. I'll come to that 4th one in a moment. You get 3 pegs. Those just line up, and you push it in, and just like that, it's on his back. And because the cape is soft goods, thank God, it can fit really well behind him. So yeah, take that back off. So, what is that extra slot for? I'll tell you what that's for. It's for his rifle. Now, this isn't just the Hasbro being generous with new, like, extra pieces that don't actually need to be. This is definitely for if and when they ever reuse this sculpt for like a Season 1 Mando or Season 2. They can give you his pulse rifle again, and it will just sit nicely in there. And yeah, that looks really good. And it also fits a lot better than the old one. So yeah, love it. In terms of the figure itself, now that we've rambled on enough, really nice. I do really like it. This top armor piece is an overlay, rubber overlay with a hard shell at the front, and that's actually where the cape goes. So I'm guessing there's a sort of slot round about there that goes into. Hold on, just to up the contrast a little bit so you can actually see the details a bit better. So yeah, it does go in there. They've sort of half-assed it in the way that it attaches. It attaches well enough, but yeah, it's all wrinkled, and yeah, you do have to play with it a little bit and be very careful when you're tugging, because pretty much every review I've seen, they've pulled it out of place. It doesn't look right. So yeah, but all in all, details are really nice. Even on the new armor plate, there's some nice weathering on it. All the silvers are really metallic. The paint apps are on par with figure arts, like genuinely. And this new helmet that they've got is amazing, especially when you compare it to that one, the original. But yeah, wouldn't be Hasbro without Hasbro being, well, Hasbro. There is a face up there in that head. I think it's just been glued down so that they didn't have to paint it. So yeah, they probably could have detailed it, but they took the easy way, because this is after season 2 when he refused to ever take his helmet off again. So yeah, can't really blame them there. They're going off what they said they were. But yeah, in terms of articulation, you can look up that far, down really well. It's just a double ball hinge. Gets a lot of range of motion there. Arms, shoulders are on that O-ring system. It's on all the newer Black Series, so it can go up actually really far, way past doing a T-pose. Got a hinge and swivel at the bicep. It can get just past 90. Hinge and swivel at the wrist. He does have 2 different kinds of wrists. This one, which doubles as the lightsaber holding hand, has the up and down swivel, and this one has the back and forth, which is good to see. They're thinking about things like that now. Abs don't really get a whole lot of movement, because this strap is attached to this waist piece, which is sort of free floating, and also the chest armor is an overlay as well. You don't get a whole lot of movement, so you can barely go forward or back. You can't even really get much swivel at the waist. Legs, however, completely unhindered, going forward. Back, hindered a little bit. Knees, single jointed with a swivel. He also has a thigh cut, which is one of the few figures that were obviously designed in between Hasbro moving from the thigh cut to just using the knee swivel. So this guy has both, which is impressive. And feet are a little bit on the loose side for me, unfortunately, but they do still get the point across, and they have the nice pivot as well. So yeah, let's have a quick look at comparisons, shall we? So I don't have the Beskar Armor Mando from Black Series. I didn't see any point in doing so, because it just looked horrible to me. But this is the original mould. The helmet's horrific. You can also see the old style holster with that peg that just didn't want to work. But yeah, literally every part of the new Mando is new sculpt. I don't think there's a single piece that's the same as the old one. Yeah, this guy doesn't have his original plastic cape on because I got rid of it. He's got an old Rick Hor look cloak that I repurposed for him. But yeah, you can see the old shoulders attached to the shoulders, so it was a bit weird how that worked. But yeah, probably the only thing that they've took from this guy is the hands. The hands look the same, but that's about it. So yeah. And finally, here he is standing next to my Figuarts Mando, which, yeah, I'm sorry, but the proportions on the Black Series are just better. Just straight up, they are better. Sorry, I'm always the first to defend Figuarts, but Black Series has it. Like, there's a bit more detail to the paint apps and such on this guy, but in terms of proportions, Black Series wins easily. That's not to say I'm getting rid of this guy. He'll be my season 1/2 Mando. This guy will be my current Mando. So yeah, all in all, guys, I would recommend it. Even over the newer Figuarts and Mafex versions. Like, Mafex might be decent if their quality control's up to snuff for once, but yeah, the newest Figuarts one just disappointed me. That's why I've still got the first version of him. The new one's got a much darker cape, and for some reason they shrunk his armour, which looks completely off. It makes the proportions even worse. So yeah, guys, all in all, I can't recommend this figure enough. If you're wanting a Mando on your shelf, an up-to-date Mando with good paint apps and some soft goods, this guy's only 25 quid. So yeah, guys, that'll do it for this review. I'll see y'all later.